Of Allegiance led by Director Burns.
To the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Proof of notice, Director Killen.
Yes, Mr. President. The meeting was posted in accordance with Florida statutes.
Approval of minutes, Director Killen.
I move to waive the reading and accept the minutes of the Tuesday, September 14th, 2021 meeting, which was held at 7 p.m.
That was seconded by Roxy.
Thank you.
All in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Treasurer's report, Director Raymer.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Mr. President. Well, we had another sufficient month where we went through it without too many hassles, too many problems. The Treasurer's report, basically, this is the executive summary. The only three numbers that are really important on the executive summary is our operating balance is $546,936. And in reserves, we have $1,090,909. As you can see in our reserve allocation, where we want to stay above 35%, we've started the year with 1.8. Our total expenditures planned, and we will show you further on that, but we should end up 41.8% at the end of the year, which is well ahead of where we want to stay in our reserves. Budget. Looks like we made $30,000 this month, but basically because payroll fluctuates on a 2-week basis versus half a month, we do have months where we have to adjust it and come out. So our wages were much less this month than we normally forecast, so that showed it up. Bottom line, net operations, 30,000 year, the variance is 33,000 to the good. Year to date, we have 77,146 that we're ahead of budget. The balance sheet, again, you can see the current assets are 546,936 in cash and operating, and we have 1,090,909 in our reserve. As you can see, our fixed assets are growing as we expense the clubhouse. Every month it goes up another $300,000 or $400,000. The number to look at the balance sheet is our clubhouse loan. We're at 2.191. We still have $1 million that we, WJC, we have booked through the end of December, which would bring our bank loan to 3.2, barring any other change orders or problems that drop off. Rather than $4 million, our loan will be somewhere between 3.2 and 3.5. Reserve count as of the end of September, not the end of August. Wanamaker, we paid, we're still paying them on a monthly basis for the management and drawings and that type of thing for the clubhouse. As we found a few months ago, the cost of the building loan is charged to construction costs, therefore there is a building loan of $66,323. We started buying some furnitures and fixtures, and at this point in time, we're using the RAP just to put out small checks, deposits, and that type of thing. It is yet to be decided whether we finance it or use the money in RAP. The board did approve $1.4 million in expenditures for the clubhouse in our 2021 RAP. We still have $250,000 to go. We're running at about $111,000. The other is the patio furniture for the pool. The storage at 175 degrees in those containers over here actually cooked our chairs and everything to the point that you couldn't even sit on them, so we had to replace them. We've put a deposit in on Leader's patio furniture for a nice new deck that'll be finished out here in front of the building. And $2,377.50, that's a deposit on a contractor that's going to come in and do miscellaneous contract patching throughout the park. Fitness Mitt, and people have been asking, are we buying new equipment for the fitness room? There's your answer. There's a 50% deposit that we've paid so far. There's our year-to-date reserve account activity. As I said, original budget was $1.837766. The capital expenditures that we've done so far this year are $1.257330. Of course, the maintenance fees add to it, and then we've had other miscellaneous items. So the balance of our reserves at this time are $1,090,909. And this one you can't read. And a few more months we'll be in a big screen and you'll be able to see it. Right? And as my cohort said, it is posted online. If you have any looks that you want to see, any questions that you come out from looking at it online, please be free to text me or give me a call. That's our budget for this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. The manager's report, Anthony Fiore.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few items, and then I'm going to hand this over to Dennis. Duffer Drive, as everyone's, well, not everyone, but several people are aware that we had some damage there. The insurance company was out there last week, so we're hoping to settle that within the next couple of weeks and start the finish of the street. As David mentioned in the reserve study, we finally got a concrete specialist to come in. Hopefully those repairs are done within the next 2 weeks. And then one more thing, we're trimming trees, not only on the golf course, but within the park. So hopefully by the end of the month, all that will be done. Dennis?
Thanks, Anthony. I only got one thing, and that's the budget mailing did go out. You all should have received that by now. Why did we mail it versus hand deliver it? We did that because it was so much more efficient for the office. And not only was it more efficient, but we saved about 10 hours. But it's just much more efficient to do that and much more effective for us to mail it versus try to hand deliver it. That's why it was hand delivered. That's why it was mailed, because I've gotten a couple phone calls on that. If you didn't get the package in the mail, you have a couple options. Swing by the office. They can give you one. I have one with me tonight if somebody needs one. You can see the entire package online on our website, or send me an email at assistantmanager@fvra.net, and I'll mail you the whole package, the whole mailing. Okay? We have received about 140 proxies back already, so they're coming in. In fact, about 20 minutes after I sent out the host electronic voting notification, 10 of you all voted. So that seems to be working really well. If you're having trouble with host, the electronic system, please let me know. You have until the 19th, the 30th. You have a couple more weeks until we cut that off, and then you have to do the paper version. So if you haven't signed up for electronic voting, I highly recommend you do it. Just makes it easier for you. Okay? That's all I got.
Thank you. Committee reports, ARC minutes, Darrell Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the approval of the following Architectural Review Committee minutes and modifications contained therein. The dates of the meetings were September the 6th and the 20th.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Charlie.
Thank you.
Rationale. These minutes were received and approved by the Architecture Review Committee and sent to all directors for their review and approval. Approval of this motion is recommended.
All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on to new business, pool rule change, toys and balls, Roxy Marsh.
Mr. President, I move for the Board of Directors to approve the following new rule for the pool area rules. Number 19.20, no balls or toys within the fenced pool area.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Darrell Burns. Any discussion on the motion?
No, I have rationale, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, rationale, I'm kind of new at this.
The emergency rule was established on August 12, 2021. An emergency rule can be passed by the Board of Directors as stated in FVRA Bylaw 12.3. It was an emergency because that day there were toys scattered around the pool deck, on the ledge of the pool, and in the pool itself. This had happened more than one time. The rule was, I'm sorry, did I send you the new motion? I didn't copy my own new motion. Yeah. Nope, that's still the old one. I'm sorry. The rule was used to protect the safety of the residents who use the pool. The rule has now been posted for the 30 days according to what is written in the FVRA Bylaws, Article 12, Rules and Regulation 12.1, page 10. As you know, Fairway Village is for elder adults 55 and older. We allow our visitors and guests to use our facilities, such as the shuffleboard courts, the golf course, the spas, and the pool. Each area has specific rules. Both indoor and outdoor pool facilities were called, including the Long Center in Largo, the Highland Complex, part of the Largo Park District, Seminole City, park districts in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Also called were 5 local mobile home parks. None of them allow toys or balls in their pool area. Now I'm finished.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion.
Prior to this year, have there been complaints about...
Come up to the microphone and state your name and lot number.
I can't hear it. I don't know.
Carol O'Brien, lot 76. Do you, are the noodles considered a toy because they also are all around the pool?
No, we will address that a little bit later. Noodles are allowed at the pool. They're not a toy.
They're not?
No. Okay. It'll be addressed later.
Ratified 621. I just want to say my observations lately. It seems like we have 2 groups that speak out about any of the regulations that we have. We have the rule breakers and we have the rule followers. Now, everybody that is here had to sign an agreement when they first moved in the park about what was allowed and what was not allowed at the pool. So there shouldn't be any question about that. Safety and liability are very important, especially if you have a visitor that bumps into one of us elder folks, and I hate to say it, but we bruise very easily, and these bruises can result in blood clots and all sorts of problems. You that are rule breakers have many opportunities. We live in an area where you can go to any of the beaches, you can go to parks, you can go to playgrounds, you can go on the Pinellas Trail, you can ride your bike any place, you can drive in your car, so it's not like you are being deprived of the wonderful state that we live in. Now, the rule followers are really concerned about our safety. This is a park for older adults, and hopefully most of you will live long enough to enjoy our new clubhouse and all the other facilities that you are still able to use. Now, as I'll just say it, an old fart in this park for about 20 years, I have noticed many good points and some not so good points about people and their use of the noodles. It was quite a while ago we just okayed the noodles. Now, once you seem to okay something, it means that you have to have other devices. You have to be aware of, again, older people and their safety. It does not take much to tip us over. And again, you wouldn't want to be sued, and besides being personally sued, the park would be sued, and you would be paying for that too. So all I can say is, let's be kind to each other. Be considerate. I know some of us older people can seem quite stern at times, but that comes with age. And I hope you will be patient, and I promise I will only make suggestions about you not taking a shower and so forth. Again, I know there are a lot of residents in here that agree with me, but are afraid to speak up because they've literally been abused by some people, and I mean abused by people saying really mean things to them. So please, if you are a resident, take a breath and politely point out the rule to somebody that isn't following it. And this is not about we don't like children, we don't like visitors. Of course we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Good rules to follow in life in general. Any other discussion on the motion?
I want to appeal that. Carl Wright, Lot 324. I want to appeal that ruling of no toys in the pool. I mean, children are children. They need one or two objects to play with. They just can't, you can't expect a child to go to a pool and stand in 3 feet of water and do nothing.
3 feet of water?
Anyway, I have the mic, ma'am, okay? When I'm done, you can talk again. Anyway, I had a meeting. I sent a letter in appealing this meeting on September 21st. I had a meeting with Anthony, and we discussed it a little bit. And I think 1 or 2 toys. I know there was too many toys in the tool, even though there's little tiny things. But another point I want to get across is every day you can go down to the pool and they're talking about tripping, falling, suing. I see 10 pairs of shoes, 5 pairs of shoes by the steps where people take them off and get in the pool. Now that is a big item to trip on. So they should have racks to put shoes in. I mean, there's a lot of rules where people get hurt. The steps are 5 or 6 inches high where the steps are around. I see more people fall off that than fall on the pool. So there's a lot of dangerous things around the pool. A little toy is not as harmful because everybody, when they get in the pool, they're very careful. They look down, they watch where they walk because they're older, so they can see if there is anything down there. There shouldn't be, but there could be. It could be a shoe. It could be anything. It could be a toy. But what I am saying, I believe children and parents, I've talked to a lot of people, and they said, if they don't pass the rule, my grandchild's going to bring something to the pool anyway. I don't care what they say. Okay? But what I am saying, we don't want to get mean, we don't want to get mad about it, we want to be nice about everything, but I do believe a child does need one or two toys. And I even talked to you, John, and you told me, well, when they first amended, it says, I don't see any sign where there's a limit on any toys in the pool. Okay, now all of a sudden, this is supposed to go into effect whenever, but they already made a sign and put it up there. We paid for it, and we didn't even have a chance to have a meeting about it. Am I correct?
Let me just say this about that, Carl. When we were just putting up the new signs, we had to either put that rule on the bottom now or not have it there at all. And so polling the board members and knowing for almost for certain that it was going to pass, we put it on there now. Now, if it doesn't pass, we'll just block that out. But
Okay.
we just didn't want to spend the money to go send the sign back again to get it painted.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of majority of people that I've talked to, and they say they can't see how you could take toys from children. I mean, we're grandparents. We all have grandchildren. And I mean, I just can't see how you can bring a child to the pool and just going to stand there.
Thanks, Carl. And let me just say, Carl used the words that he was appealing. He's not putting in a formal appeal. He's appealing to the directors.
Yes.
Because what can happen is if we get enough feedback from the resident is we'll vote on it, and perhaps he will have swayed some people so the motion won't carry. But that's what he means by appeals is he's asking us to not pass this motion.
Right, exactly.
Thanks, Carl.
All right.
Any other discussion?
Well, I second this guy's motion. They should be allowed to have a toy at the pool.
Okay, if you want us to hear that, you need to stand up and state your name and...
Kathy Shepard, Lot 377. I have grandchildren that will want to come here and see my home that I just purchased this year, and I welcome them to come and have fun and not sit there and not be able to do anything. And with that, not being able to do anything will stifle them. Maybe have them screaming, crying. If you'd like to hear that, that's a possibility that's going to happen when they're not allowed to have a toy at the pool. There are children hours at the pool. There are children hours at the pool. If you don't want to be there when a child is there with possibly a Barbie doll, a little tea set, then maybe the elder people should stay home during those hours. But there's children hours.
Let me say this. This isn't a discussion for all of you. Kathy's going to say her piece, and whether you agree or not, let's be civil about the whole thing and just let her have her say.
I would love to have my grandchildren come here and enjoy as we all are here to enjoy. It will not be enjoyable if my grandchildren cannot sit at that pool with like maybe a Barbie doll, whatever. Elders go down there with their weight. What is a child going to say when they see an elder with a weight, but they can't have a Barbie doll? They have something to do. They need something to do with the pool. That's my statement on the children and toys.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you for listening.
Hi, Susan Bagg, 726. I am at the pool at least twice a day, and I have grandchildren, and I had little ones at one time, and I always had them in the pool with me. But they never had a toy other than maybe a floaty when they were really little. I play with my grandchildren while they're in the water. I make sure that they behave. I make sure that they're entertained, and I don't see an issue with toys. It is extremely difficult for many of the people that I see at the pool to see things, to walk steadily. You know, it is 55 plus, but we're not all 55. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Barring any further discussion, we'll vote. All in favor of the rule as stated, no toys and balls in the pool area, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
No, we can't hear ours if you do it. No? All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
There were no nays. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you. Nay.
Moving on, 8.2, rule change, flags and banners. Now this is June's motion, but Roxy's going to read it for us.
Mr. President, I move for the Board of Directors to approve Section 3, Site Maintenance Rules and Regulations concerning flags, banners, signs/images in 3.7, 3.12, and 3.13. I will read those rules in a moment. We'll get a second first, please.
Who was it?
Darrell Burns.
Yeah, seconded by Darrell. Rationale?
Rationale. The Bylaws, Rules, and Regulation Committee was given this mandate in early 2020 as it was necessary to have this discussion and formulate rules for flags, banners, and signs. Our meeting agendas were posted, and residents were welcome to attend and make suggestions to us. After the committee's work was completed, we advised the board, who then reviewed our work and offered more suggestions. We will vote on these rules tonight after having posted them for the amount of time, 30 days, according to what is written in our FVRA Bylaws, Article 12, Rules and Regulations, 12.1, page 10. Section 3, 3.7. The rule will be stated as, when not in residence, bicycles, furniture, toys, tools, City of Largo trash/recycling containers, flags and banners must be stored in the utility shed or in the home. 3.12. All political signs, images must be located entirely within the lot plinter box or inside of the house windows or doors. 3.13. All political signs must not exceed 18 inches by 24 inches or a maximum of 432 square inches. Political signs may be displayed 6 weeks prior to the election and must be removed within 2 days after the election. No more than 2 political signs may be displayed. Political flags or political banners are prohibited.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion.
Nancy Whitford, Lot 72. Could you clarify if home includes the screen room for the storage of all those items you just mentioned?
Are you talking about when you're not in residence, what must be stored? No, a screen room is not good enough. Wait a minute. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If it's not an open area, yes. Things go.
Somehow modify to that, because it seems to me like there's some screen rooms here that have refrigerators in them and different things.
Yeah.
Part of that rule to state.
Okay.
When you think of a house, you don't think of. Could you stand up and tell them?
I'm sorry, when you use the word home, you don't think about additions, screen rooms, sheds, additions. And because you mentioned shed specifically, but you didn't mention screen room or floor-to-room, I just want to make sure there's no problem later on.
It actually states that it must be stored in the utility shed or in the home.
Right.
So that's what the committee came up with.
So a screen room is considered a home.
It's part of the home? I'm not sure. What does ARC say? What does ARC say? Right, I know. Yeah. Right.
Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Dunn, 103. It doesn't say anything about other signs. So are religious signs allowed or advertising? Can I advertise my cousin Vinny's Pizzeria down the street? So, I mean, you're saying you have restrictions on political signs. Other signs, we can just put any kind of sign out we want.
Good, but we haven't seen those yet, have we? We didn't, the committee did not address that. Sorry.
Because I thought the reason the committee worked on that rule was because during the election we had signs everywhere. So what would stop us from now starting and putting religious signs all over, or advertising signs, or banners on the house, or any of that stuff?
June, as the committee liaison to Rules and Regs, do you have anything to say about that?
Our committee didn't address anything to do with signs, but there was something that was given to the board a couple of years back when Steve Ford was the president, and in it said the lawyers had said this and sent this, although we never passed this, but it said no signs, banners, notices, or advertising materials of any kind, specifically including but without limitation any such items bearing marketing, advertising, or political/religious propagation shall be placed upon or permitted to remain upon any lot, inside a window, on or in a vehicle, or in any location that is visible from the exterior of the dwelling. Although that was said a couple of years ago, we did not vote on that. We just stuck to the flags and banners and signs, images that have to do with that.
I would like to say,
if that's a suggestion to our committee to look at more signs, we can do that in November.
Right.
And Bob, to answer your question, you're right. No, we haven't addressed that yet, and probably we won't until we have a problem with it. Hold on just a second. I think Daryl Swain, did you want to say something?
Yes. Like I say, I'd like to go ahead and I'm against any type of political sign. I think it's not going to change. It never changes anybody's votes. It just causes animosity between neighbors. I don't think it's necessary that we get into politics. I know some other associations and homeowner associations do not allow it. And I just think with the political climate as it is, and I think it's going to get worse, I don't think we need to put ourselves into that. That's my own opinion. I mean, if you're going to loosen up the political signs and allow them to put them in the planters, then what's the difference between the realtors being able to put their signs in the planters then? And an open house, and we don't want to get into that.
But we do address that other parts in our rules. We have that addressed in other parts. I'd like to say something too, if I may.
Yes.
The thing that June was talking about, we asked the lawyer to come up with something because we were very confused about what we should allow and what we should not. The lawyers actually said we could say no signs at all, no political signs, but we thought that was a little bit too restrictive. So we're saying you may have one in your planter or on inside your house. Just so for expression.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Wayne Eastwood, 223. I want to back up a step. I think it's still a little confusing or open-ended about storage in the screen room, lanai. I mean, we have a lanai that's on house level, that's another room in our home. If I can't store in there, I don't know where I'm going to put all that furniture that's out there. So I think there's a little bit of
I think the committee's going to have to look at that again.
I think they got to look at this a little bit.
Well, I think the thing about, like with my screen room, I think you just need to use a little common sense.
I do too.
Of course, my refrigerator's still out there, some big items are still out there, but everything, because my screen room, it's open air almost. I mean, there's screens there, but the wind can blow right through there. So pictures and stuff, I take those all down. I think we just got to use a little common sense.
I think so too, but whoever goes around and checks all this, I mean, we have a lanai that has pulled down, you know, well, it's just say it, I think it's pretty vague as it's presented.
Thank you.
I think one of the things the committee wanted to make sure was that if you are a snowbird or if you're going on a cruise for a month or a couple of weeks, and it's especially during the hurricane season, the Largo recycling container and the Largo garbage collection containers are quite large, but they can blow away. They don't fit in your shed. They'll fit in your kitchen while you're gone. You know, if you have to wipe them down and make them a little bit clean, you can put them away, but they cannot be left out. They cannot be left out.
Go ahead, Ray.
Ray Reed, Lot 300. Religion. I don't get what you're talking about on the signs. Is it you're not allowed to have religion signs on your windows or?
Yes, you are. We just said that's not included in this, and that's why we didn't address it, is because it's pretty controversial. Whether you want to have a sign in your window, Jesus loves me or whatever, that's fine.
A Christmas tree, you know, Halloween. We got a lot of.
No restrictions on
Just
any of
talking
that.
about political signs.
They're going to work on that, right?
Not unless we have a problem.
Yeah, John.
Any other discussion? Steve.
John, earlier June made reference to the fact that the board had received comments from the committee regarding the signage. The thing that we got into primarily was the issue that was probably the most controversial in the park dealt with religious signs. If we tried to be all-inclusive, it became an impossible task, because then you start talking about college signs, sports signs, decorative signs, commercial signs. Are we allowed a contractor to come in and put his sign in the yard because of that? So that was the reason we scaled back the change to include what was most affecting the residents of the park, and for the good of the park, we ended up staying with political signs.
Thanks, Steve. Any other discussion? Barring any other discussion, we will vote on the motion at hand. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
opposed, nay.
Nay.
That was Darrell, right? So that June knows, we had one dissension, and that was Darrell Swain. Motion passes. .3 Assistance Animal, Lot 606, Darrell Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Board of Directors approve the formal request for an accommodation of assistance animal associated with Lot 606.
Second? Somebody? Dave Raymer seconded. Now.
Rationale, the home in question is not in the pet section of Fairway Village. All requested documentations for the accommodation has been received and reviewed. Under current state and federal law, the animal described here is not to be treated as a pet. Therefore, the FVRA restrictions do not apply and may not be considered in either the discussion or the decision. Approval of this motion is recommended, and also any of the directors, if you printed it all out, please destroy the paperwork. Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion? Barring any discussion, we'll vote on the motion.
I'm going to want to discuss this.
I'm sorry, go right
Richard
ahead.
Bagg, 726. Since I've come to the park in February of this year, or January when we bought our home, there's probably been a dozen or more of these dog or pet approvals that the board has accepted. I went and looked at the application. It is the simplest thing to do. I can do it. I could have a wolf and get approval. I could have any pet and get approval. All I need to do is fill out some paperwork, get some psychiatrist or psychologist or someone to write a letter that says, I need this, and it's all set. There are state rules that mandate that we have this. There is federal rules that mandate. It is just a bunch of crap. Excuse me. But it's what the airlines went through. It's what we're going through. And the airlines pushed back and said, enough is enough. We're not going to have a peacock going through the aisles as a comfort animal. All right?
Right now, the way I understand it, there's only two animals really that are considered assistance animal. One is a dog, and the other one, unfortunately, is a small pony. Those are the two animals that are officially, not even a cat is really approved of that.
That's today.
Yes, it is.
Last month, 2 months ago, it was 2 more people. A month before that, it was 2 more. I would ask the board to post a map of the park where all these pets are identified.
There is a map that shows what is the pet district and what is not the pet district, and I'll tell you right now, we cannot refuse these assistance animals. We will refuse it and go to court with it if you want to pay the fine.
I'm not saying refuse it.
Yes, you are too, saying
I am.
it.
I'm saying that we need to look at this, the regulations, and understand how they're being abused or could be abused by the people who are applying. All right?
John.
Now, secondly, I think it would be really nice if we had comfort animals in the park that were identified as comfort animals. Therefore, all of them should wear a vest.
We can't do
John,
that.
can I jump in? John?
Why not?
Mr.
Go ahead,
Mr.
Dennis.
President.
Dennis, go ahead. You're thinking the same things I'm thinking. So go
Having
ahead.
been on the board for 5 years and ending up becoming the resident expert on service animals because I was a dog trainer for 15 and I've trained a couple hundred service animals, the law is very specific. We cannot require any disabled person, because that's the first requirement under federal law, housing law. ADA does not apply, by the way. We cannot force that person to identify that they have a comfort or an assistance animal. We're not allowed to do that, okay? The second thing is, these requests are for reasonable accommodations. We can deny a pony. We can deny a peacock. They're for reasonable accommodations. We cannot tell you who has them. We cannot identify the homes in the park that have them.
But you are in this meeting. 623 is going to have a comfort animal. If I go back and look at the minutes from 2 months ago,
yes, you're right.
I'm going to get 441 or 362.
You are correct, but we
921.
cannot actively
And
go
that
through.
You are now identifying every single one of those people who have a comfort animal. And you're saying you can't do it, but you're doing it.
No. Your comment was, can we identify the animal when it's in the park? Can we identify a sticker on the house that the animal is there? And I'm telling you, no, we can't. We have to open the lot number up in order for the board to pass it, because it is an accommodation request. But your statement of allowing any animal in here is incorrect, and the law is pretty clear on what we are and are not allowed to do. It's a reasonable request, and once a medical professional And you said you've seen the paperwork, so we require licenses, we make phone calls, et cetera. Once a reasonable professional has said, this individual has a disability under this 1973 Act, the 68 Act, all those acts, there's nothing we can do once we get to that point other than deny it because it's not reasonable in an accommodation standpoint. All right, you're right, our hands are tied.
Don?
Any other discussion?
This animal is a cat.
Thank you. Barring any further discussion, we'll vote on the motion for an assistance animal with lot 606. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Don?
No. Yeah.
We cannot hear anything.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that, June?
Couldn't hear a thing. It went off a couple of minutes ago at the end of Dennis talking, and we couldn't hear. We can't see anything. We can't get on by visual, and then we couldn't hear.
So we're having a problem with our transmission. At any rate, motion 8.3 passed. And just to irritate people further, 8.4, assistance animal associated with lot 756, Director Burns.
I appreciate that, Mr. President. Okay, I move that the Board of Directors approve the formal request for an accommodation of assistance animal associated with lot 756.
Do we have a second? Roxy? Do you have a second? Yeah, Roxy seconded under duress. Rationale.
The rationale, the home in question is in the Pet District section of Fairway Village. All requested documentation for the accommodation has been received and reviewed. Under current state and federal law, the animal described here is not to be treated as a pet. Therefore, the FVRA restrictions do not apply and may not be considered in either the discussion or the decision. Approval of this motion is recommended, and this is a small dog.
Thank you. Any discussion? Oh, good. Thank you.
And
barring any discussion?
I appreciate it.
Barring any further discussion, we'll vote on the motion for an assistance animal with lot 756. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye. And any of the directors, if you printed all the paperwork out, please destroy it.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes.
John, can you hear me?
8.5, ratified late fee increase, Director Ford.
Mr. President, I move to ratify the following. Number one, increase the current fee for late payment of maintenance fees from $5 to $25. Number two, increase the charge for non-sufficient funds from $12 to $25.
Roxy seconded.
Rationale. Our bylaws require these changes be approved by the Board of Directors. This will bring our fees more in line with current fees in the marketplace. The increase in fees is effective October 1st, 2021. Approval of this motion is recommended.
Any discussion? Barring any discussion, we'll vote for the motion to increase the late fee to $25 and the insufficient fund fee to $25. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. .6, ratified Duffer Drive sewer repair, Director Raymer.
Mr. President, I move to have the board ratify the payment in the amount of $12,685 to Rudiman for the repair of the sewer pipe damaged by FUS's subcontractor on Duffer Road North.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Charlie. Rationale.
Rationale, whereas Florida Underground Specialist Contractor had damaged the sewer line under Duffer Road during the installation of the Spectrum fiber optic lines, Fairway Village engaged Ruderman to provide environmentally safe procedures to repair the pipe. As the contractor has claimed responsibility for this incident, we expect full reimbursement of this payment. Acceptance of this motion is...
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I have one question. Do we have any written documentation or confirmation that they will pay for all this, reimburse us for this money?
Let's let Mr. Fiore do this because I know he's got a whole file on it.
No, we don't have a written document from Florida Underground Services. The subcontractor's insurance company came out last week, so we'll be settled this issue within the next, say, 30 days. And then, like I said, once it's settled, we'll repair the park, and hopefully everything will be 100% reimbursed.
But I do know that we've documented every action on this right from the very beginning, and so we've got a well-documented file if we ever need to do anything. Any other discussion? Barring none, we will vote on the motion to ratify $12,685 to Ruderman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
I call for the adjournment.
Roxy, motion for an adjournment. Do we have a second? Darrell seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. We are adjourned. We're going to go through some things here right now and just quickly, flotation devices. We've posted that we've had complaints from residents recently that people are abusing the rule about flotation devices. We're not changing anything here. We're just going to enforce the rules as they are. And the rule in point is 19.9, which states that use of recreational flotation devices are prohibited. That's recreational flotation devices, such as floating chairs, rafts, or noodle slings. We clarify that a little bit by Rule 1910 saying noodles or wearable safety flotation devices are allowed. That's noodles and basically life vests. So we're posting that. It's posted at the pool on the door as you go in. It's posted on the TV. It's posted on the website. So we are going to begin enforcing that rule. So anybody who's bringing any kind of rafts or supportable things, you're going to be asked not to bring them in there. That's quickly. Now, here's another one. Rules and Regs and the Bylaws Committee, they need another member. Anybody who'd like to get involved in something, this is a real good one to get into, the bylaws and the rules and regs. You really get to learn a lot about the park. And so anybody who might want to get into that, onto the Rules and Regulations Committee, just drop off some information at the office and we'll pass it on to the committee. One other thing, WOW emails. We've been telling you guys, and it's getting closer and closer. If you've got a WOW or Analogy email, those are going to go away when Spectrum comes in. Don't wait till yours goes away to get one. Get one as soon as you can. If you get a Gmail or any of those ones that travels with you, that's ideal, and you get it now, and then as you keep getting emails on your old email, you can just keep telling them, here's my new email. Don't wait till the last minute. If you've got WOW or Analogy emails, get rid of them now. And now, update on the Clubhouse. Director Ford.
Thanks, John. Just to bring you up to date a little bit, we had our last tour of the clubhouse today. We had another 12. That completes the list of the people that signed up for a tour. There will be no more tours. The contractor is busy putting finishes in place, and so it's best to let them do their work. The project is behind schedule. It's not severely behind schedule. The main issues are labor, the lack of labor, Talking to the superintendent today, they have 2 painters in the building. They would like to have at least 4, but there is a shortage. There's also some, although not significant, shortage on some materials. The railing is one on the pond, on the deck. The railing has to go down before the decking can go down. Well, we have the decking, but we don't have the railing. So there are issues like that. The delay appears to be that the contractor, again, this is current, it can change daily. The contractor is expected to turn the building over to us right now, mid-December. Now, that means that we can go in and start moving our stuff back into the building. So I would anticipate that we're talking 2 to 4 weeks for us to move everything out of our storage containers and get everything put back in shape. So that's the latest we have. We're meeting every 2 weeks with the contractor to discuss the status, and we'll keep you updated.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. And thank you for listening to us. Now, any discussion from any of the residents, please come forward.
John?
Yes, Steve.
I will mention one other additional thing. The project is within the budget that we established, so that's a good point at this point.
Thank you.
Pat Tree-Fry, 621. I just wanted to let some of you know that Nuns Cusinado, he went to the hospital today. So I was told it may be a slight heart attack. Anyway, I wanted you to know if you wanted to send him a card. I forgot to ask where he was, but I'm assuming Morton Plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you. How's this going now? Oh, because Tom O'Brien, 76. I live on the other side of the clubhouse. I've talked to D-Ray about it, and I want everybody to hear this. You got 2 honking air handlers right in my backyard, almost in my porch. There is nothing to stop the sound, and I'd like to see something done. There's not just my house, but there's 3 or 4 houses right there.
Okay, Tom?
Okay.
May I address that?
It has?
Yeah.
Please do.
There is a fence scheduled to be put around that area.
Uh-huh.
Now, I question whether it's going to be adequate to reduce the sound significantly. It will be a white, solid fence. I plan on talking to the architect about addressing additional sound absorption material within that area to address that issue.
Okay, thank you. Can we talk about the budget, or is this not the proper place?
Pardon me, what was it?
The budget. I've been reading the budget. I understand all the employees are going to get 9.4% raises. Is that correct?
Yes, 9.5% across the board. Now, just to clarify, that doesn't mean each employee will get 9.5%. You can calculate that 9.5% out, and then they'll get merit raises so that everybody doesn't get 9.5. Somebody might not get much, and somebody might get more. But it averages out to a maximum of 9.5%.
You know, nobody in this country gets a 9.4% raise. Nobody. That's way too much. And I understand they also get all their benefits paid for.
They do get a benefit package, yes.
Do they pay for any of their benefits?
No.
They don't. And they still need 9% raise? I mean, couldn't we do that over 3 years? I mean, and the reason given was that bring it up to the wage of the area. Is that correct?
It is correct. And not just this area, but the country, basically.
Do you think these people are leaving? Over 9% if they get 3%? They're not leaving. I love them all. They do a great job. But 9% is unheard of, and I disagree with it. And that's all. Thank you.
Appreciate your thoughts.
We're not paying them compared to...
John Paul Franco, 645.
Why was there a mass mailing? Dennis said it was easier for the office. So how much did that cost?
70 cents. I don't know. 70 cents per.
Okay, how many could have made people in the park that could have been hand-delivered, like it has been in the past?
The issue with hand delivery is the efficiency of printing off those labels in that manner. To do that, you've got to print them in batches, number one. Number two, statute and our bylaws don't allow for hand delivery. So we're actually violating some of our rules by doing hand delivery in the past. But it was mostly done before efficiency of printing labels. I could run 750 labels, 750 envelopes, go. We were done in a day and a half, where in the past it's taken close to 4. So it was strictly an efficiency decision.
So how much money did it cost? 77 cents, you said?
Well, 70 cents times, well, that was for U.S. I don't know what the Canadian non-U.S. postage was, but it was 70 cents for domestic first class.
So for persons that stay here during the summer, or that have not made their way down from the north, that could have saved us some money. So you're saying
Not
that...
in the long run, I wouldn't have known.
Okay. To me, it would have. You're saying that it was going to be easier for the office.
It was more efficient, yes.
Is the workload too much for the office?
You're understaffing the office.
I'm addressing the board members, not addressing you in particular.
Just to keep that all up front, if 70 cents times some 750 is somewhere around the low 50s, about $55 or whatever is what it cost us to do that. And one of the things that I liked about it was because we don't always know who's here and who's not.
Correct.
So if we mail them to you, you've got your mailbox set up for holding it or for forwarding it. So we make sure that everybody gets theirs mailed to them. Otherwise, we can put them here and you won't be here, or we send them here and you're...
Okay, but it has worked in the past, correct? So $525?
That's American.
Okay, so is there...
You're right, I'm sorry.
Is there a workload that the office may be overworked?
Every time when we have a mailing, they're overworked. There's no doubt, and there's times when they're not. But I don't think it's a big issue. I mean, we decided that it would be best for everybody to mail them to everybody to make sure everybody got them.
Then if it is, maybe a study needs to be done as to the workload of the office. Now, the second thing I'd like to address is there going to be a special cleaning crew hired for the new...
Yes, there is.
And what is the reason?
Well, you know, and I say this because it happened where I worked before. If you let your maintenance people try and become janitors, they're not made for that kind of work. And we don't want to put in beautiful, expensive floors and after a few months having them look really grubby, you know? I mean, for the amount that it costs, it's well worth it to just have really nice looking floors. Like I said, where I worked before, we switched to a janitorial service and everybody raved about how much better they looked. It's just,
so what is that cost going to be?
I don't have that number with me. Dave, do you have that?
We've put it out for quote. We did get one quote. We're trying to get 2 more. Roughly, I think it's $2,000 a month, around $26,000. Basically, it's a time thing. During the winter time, we're looking at 3 times a week. During the summertime, 1 time a week. It is my belief that we've spent $5.5 million on a building that we want to look like $5.5 million. And the janitorial service with using the proper regs, cleaning the kitchen properly, cleaning the windows, and for the most of you that haven't seen inside there, I think the window cleaning is going to be the biggest thing that goes on, or it'll be fingerprints all the time. I think it'd be well worth our dollar to spend it on that.
So you don't think that our maintenance people could do that?
No.
Okay. So I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern here about spending. That I realize that each and every one of you put in a lot of time and sacrifice time from your families, and we appreciate it. But please start thinking about being more conservative about the spending. And I would like to see the board, look into these things, a more serious thing, because I know that as prices go up, we're running into a bad economy, and I think that it's going to affect a lot of people in this village. And so I would hope that you would think about that before making some of these decisions. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Bob Dunn, 103. We talked today about rules. You put a couple new rules in. Anthony last month mentioned we had over 200 homes that either had mold, overgrown shrubs, weeds in the planter box, weeds behind the building, around the air conditioner, and so on. That's the worst, probably, at least that I know of. I've talked to some people that's been here 20 years and they haven't had that many violations. What penalties are there when people don't follow the rules? I know when the maintenance guys goes out and they do their check, the office makes a call. They call the shareholder. You got weeds in the planter box, shrubs overgrown. A couple of weeks later, maintenance goes back out. Nothing's been done. Do they make another call? Do they send a letter? Because some of these homes, no, most of these homes have been like this for 6 months or more. There's homes in here that the people went home sometime in March, never came back, don't have a caregiver, and the grass just keeps growing in the planter box and behind the homes. So, I mean, it's 6 months or more. It looks like you have called them, maybe sent them a letter. So when they don't respond, or when our shareholders don't respond to the rules, do we just write it off and say, well, what do we do?
I'm going to have to defer to Anthony or Dennis on this. I know what you say is right. We call them and tell them that they need to do it, and I don't know what the follow is exactly.
There's no finding. Basically, all you do is try to follow up with them. You might, I might. All right. There is no finding. What we try to do, like anything else, is we constantly follow up with people. And until there's a finding enforcement, some of this is going to continue. 95% of the people are pretty cooperative. And sometimes what we'll hear is, well, when I get there, I'll do it. We've suggested to people, you should get a caretaker, you really need to do this, you're creating a problem. Like anything else, everybody has their own agenda, whether it's a float, whether it's a political sign. And the point is, until the board decides that they want to have a strong finding committee, there's nothing I can really do.
Okay, let me talk to the board then. There's no use having rules if you don't have penalties. What Anthony just said, and what's taking place in Fairway Village is people violate the rule. It doesn't matter what rule it is. It could be acting up down at the pool and drinking at the pool. It doesn't matter. Whatever the rule is, it's violated. We call them on the phone or we send them a letter, and that's the end of it. So why do we have the rules if you can't enforce them? You guys aren't enforcing any of the rules. Because if I'm a shareholder and I have weeds and you call me, I don't care what you do. I'm not doing nothing with them. And you don't do nothing to me. So the bylaws, our bylaws say that you can fine people $100 a day for 10 days. After that, and there's a procedure in there for the fining committee, the board appoints a fining committee, and it goes on. After that, you end up in arbitration or mediation, or you go into court. Prior to this board, we went through 2 or 3 of these things. We spent 3 years on a case where a guy violated the ARC rule. When it was all said and done, it cost him a lot of money, and he still had to correct the situation. If people, and they do, especially new people that come into our park, they know you're not going to do anything. So they come in, they stay 2 days here, they close on their property, they go back north, and it doesn't matter about whether there's mold or weeds or anything else. I can show you homes that haven't been touched in 6 or 8 months. So if you're not going to do nothing, you might as well throw the rules away. And we should tell the shareholders they need to stop paying the people to take care of their homes. All they can do is just let them go, because you guys aren't going to do anything anyway.
Bob, I understand where you're coming from, and I think you've blown that little out of proportion, really. But the truth is, you just said that we don't. You just said that we don't enforce the rules. I got hollered at 3 times in the last 2 weeks for enforcing the rules. Who do you think you are? And when I go to people and say, you're not allowed to do that, and they say, I'm going to do it anyhow.
Then you need to take action.
And I say, who are you? And they say, I'm not going to tell you. You think it doesn't happen? It happens, and so what do? Take pictures of them and track them down?
Yes.
But here's what the procedure is. If you violate a rule, you get a verbal warning. If you violate it again, you get a written warning. If you violate it again, you get a second written warning. After that, every violation is a $100 fine up to $1,000. After that, your privileges will be taken away. You won't be able to use any of the amenities. But again, think where we're coming from. If I tell somebody that they can't use the pool anymore, their liberties, their privilege has been taken away, and they go anyhow and say, what are you going to do?
Well, here's what we did. We told the guy, you can't use the amenities anymore. You can't use the golf course, the clubhouse, or the pool. If we catch you on any of these, we're calling the police. He was in the clubhouse. We went in there and told him, you got to get out of here, we're calling the police on you. If you got you might as well throw the rules away then if you're not going to enforce them. Yeah. Seriously. I mean,
I agree, and I think what you're thinking mostly of is lawn maintenance and taking care of your home.
It doesn't matter. It's everything, John.
But that's the big thing that you're talking about. And I agree we need to crack down on that more. We need to follow up more, and I don't know, give a guy a week or 2 to fix his whatever the problem is, and then the second warning, and then the fine and so forth. I agree with it. We need to tighten up on that. Although people are going to have a fit, I'm going to tell you.
John, may I say something?
Steve Ford, please go ahead.
You know who will have a fit, John? The people who are violating the rule. Everybody moves into this park because it's so nice and we have rules. I mean,
nobody wants to follow them.
Can I say something? The process is set up. Once we find someone, we have to have a committee set up, appointed, so that they can go through that. We did that exact thing with the case that you're referring to. It didn't do any good. We ended up in court, as you say, 3 years. We won, but it cost us a ton of money. Sure, the violator had to pay, but we didn't recoup maybe 25-30% of what it cost us in legal fees. Now, multiply that by, number one, I wouldn't be on this board if I had to start violating. I encourage people following rules. I think it's up to all of us to do that. We sign the paper. If we don't, there is a process. I'm not going to spend the time it takes to tend to, how many violations a week would you say? How many violations a month are here? And of that, how many are going to go to the fining process as a board, which we can do?
Well, don't you think if you start and you get 2 or 3 people fined, that the other people would come aboard and start doing what they're supposed to be doing?
No, because I think partially, we still have violators out here that we're dealing with legally that's not resolved, and it's just dragging on and on and on because of the process, legal process we have to go through.
Well, I understand, because I was involved, I was deeply involved in that one process.
You were.
I was.
And we've had some since then.
But at the end, he had to do what was right. He had to follow the rule. It cost him a heck of a lot more money than it cost us.
No. It cost us a lot more money than it cost him. A lot more. Now, that means that has to be passed, that cost has to be passed on to the residents. We would have to increase our legal fees, I would say, $200,000 a year.
Well, so too bad the cameras aren't going tonight. So then what we should tell our shareholders is do whatever you want to do in this park, because there's no rules, there's nothing. Because these guys aren't going to enforce the rules because it may cost us some money.
No, I'm saying, Bob, you were a board member for a number of years, and I respect that. What did your board of directors do that we're not doing?
We made people follow the rules. That's what we did.
How did you
We were out in the park and we made people follow the rules. We wrote letters to them. We threatened them with fining.
We're doing.
So, and they followed the rules. I mean, right now, nobody's following the rules. And when it comes to people and the way their houses look and stuff like that. Just go out and take a look in this park. Anybody in here will tell you this park is worse now than it's ever been.
I would also say that the makeup of this park has changed tremendously in the last 10 years. And I think I attribute some of the changes, good and bad, to that.
Well, the park changed from 50 years ago. Every year we get 60, 80 new people in here, new homes. So the park is constantly changing. That's not an excuse for these people.
I think it is. I think we see a big generational change in this park in the last 10 years. And as a result, I think the mood of the residents, we have 2 groups. We have the conservative and we have the liberal.
Or you could put it more clearly, we have the rule violators and the one who follow the rules. That's what you have.
That's right. I think you can relate that to that.
Well,
Bob, before you go away, and let me just say this, though, that I agree with what you're saying, and I plan on getting the officers maybe and Anthony and Dennis together and working out what we do. I know our guys do a good job of inspecting, but I don't know about the follow-up. I don't know how much we have written, but I'm thinking we need to have a program, something like in the area, if you give them a verbal warning, you call them, a week later you follow up. If they haven't done it, a written warning. Another week later if they haven't done it. Maybe that's 2 weeks. And a written warning, and then you can start finding. But maybe we won't have to get to finding if we start that process. But I'm not saying we're going to do that. I'm just saying we're going to work with these guys to set up a system that works
I think
better.
if people know that they're going to be fined, they'll clean the place up.
Kathy Shepard again, 377. And I apologize to you, John. I am one of the people who told you that I wanted you to give me my verbal warning here about sitting on a noodle that was no bigger than a regular noodle. I was not approached at the pool. My guests were by Roxy, who came up and told them, I don't know if you know the rules, but we have rules and you can't use them. Now, there are women in the pool floating on floats, noodles. There's no sign on the wall about noodles, floats, or rafts. None. I've been at the pool many times where I didn't even have a noodle with me, but women did and had something similar to the same thing that I had this day 2 days ago. And Roxy was at the pool. Selective punishment to come to me the other day, and my guest, I don't know if she has a fear of the other women in the pool with their rafts, and she did not go and say a word to any of them anytime that I was at the pool. And now she tells me, well, this is a 40-year-old rule that we forgot about that we're now instituting on Tuesday night. Well, this was 2 days ago. If that was the case, she should have asked which one of you women are the owner. We need to discuss the rule. Not come barging up there before we even sat. And when I tried to say, first we didn't even take the float in, and I was the only one that did take the noodle in, and it's a noodle with a raft, which encompasses no more space than a regular noodle. The net is under my butt, and the noodle is in my arms. It's not in the way of anybody else swimming, no matter what you hear tonight. I do not bump into anybody. I sit there on a noodle. Other women do. No word said to them. And I guess when I pointed out to Roxy also that she's breaking a rule, sitting there chewing her gum, that's against the rule. That is food at the pool. You can laugh all you want, but that's more problem for the pool and the filter than me sitting on a noodle with a net. And as petty as that is, I only bring that up because of your selective choosing me, thinking that I was somebody that was going to not be afraid of you like the other women that you don't approach. The one woman said to you, Roxy, I've been floating on that same float for 5 years. And you said, I must have never noticed. This is my point. I'm new here. Don't pick me out to be selective with your rules when they are not given to every woman, every person. That is my problem.
Let me just, that's
and
fine.
I do apologize that you were brought out of your house on a Sunday afternoon for this.
Let me just say this, though. When we had a couple of complaints by residents that illegal flotation devices were being used, I got together with a couple of the board members. We looked it over and decided, yeah, the rules are pretty clear-cut. That kind of thing is not allowable. I told them the day before that we met with you that we're going to start enforcing the rule now, and we're going to get it posted. We're going to start now. Now, granted, that seems arbitrary, but you got to start sometime. And so when Roxy came to you, I had just told her we're enforcing that rule, and she did. Now, my point is, you don't disagree that is a violation of the rules? That particular item you're using, it says right here in the rules.
No, I didn't think it was because everybody else uses them.
But when we told you it was, when we told you you can't use that kind of device.
No, correction. Roxy told me as of Tuesday night that will be the rule. Well, this was Sunday. So if Roxy wanted to take me aside and explain to me, but to come up to my guest and then embarrass me in front of a pool of people because she's vice president, you don't get to approach somebody that way when you're not following that for every other person in the pool.
As I said, we just started doing it. We just found out it was a violation.
And as I say, I was not the only person in the pool with the noodle.
No, there were noodles in the pool that day, but there was no one with a raft. When I approached
I was not on the raft.
Excuse me, may I speak?
Yes, you may.
When I approached you, your group, I had no idea who the homeowner was or anything else. Someone was standing there blowing up the sides of that noodle thing. And I approached them. I said to the one that was blowing them up, I said, I'm sorry. And I didn't yell it across the pool. I didn't yell it for everybody in the park to hear. I went to your small group and I said, I'm sorry, those are not allowed in the pool. That's all I said. But you continued, and then you went and got one and went into the pool with it anyway.
When I went into the pool and saw everybody else's noodles and you said nothing to them, I went and got my noodle.
Because noodles are allowed, but your sling is not allowed. Do you understand that now?
I do now, but
Okay.
you didn't explain that to me, and you did not approach me in the manner that you should have. And I hear snickering and all, and it does sound petty, but it was also petty that day. I pay here as much as everybody else to live here, and I should be respected as everyone else is. If Roxy didn't want to go and tell other women or men that they couldn't use the float, that noodle, then you shouldn't select one person.
There was no one else in the pool that day. People had noodles, yes, but no one had a sling.
Because you didn't notice.
John?
Thank you. And again, John, I apologize that you were brought out of your house for all that. And I did want you to give me my warning here because I was threatened with a fine from Roxy for a noodle. So if you're not finding people with the weeds like the last gentleman spoke, yes, you did, Roxy.
And the next time I see you with one, you're actually going to take it away then? Because when I told you this time, you said, no, I'm going to use it anyhow.
No, I took it away, didn't I? I didn't say...
Later, you told me, no, I'm not going to use it.
I took it out of the pool before you left.
Yes, you did. While I was walking out the gate, I looked back and she...
No. Be honest, John, because there's witnesses. I left the pool with the noodle before you left, because when you were walking out, I walked up to you, and I apologized to you. Okay. I won't ask for the people to stand up and say it if they don't want to, but yes, I did, John. Thank you. One thing I'm not...
John? June. John?
Go ahead, June.
Okay.
I'm Barb Nagley in
2020, January 2020, we passed rules under pool. Everybody got a copy hand delivered to their house, or they were available in the office. The pandemic started, but the committee under 19.9 added we added examples in there because we wanted to make sure that floating chairs, rafts, or noodle slings were in our rules, which everybody has to sign, new people coming in. So just to clear that up, that is in there, and it does allow noodles, as Roxy mentioned before, or wearing safety flotation devices are allowed, and that's 19.10. It's very important that, I know there's 33 rules that we have, but it's very important that we read them, that we're aware of them, when we're giving them as new owners, that we're giving them by either our real estate agent or the office, and you have to sign a paper saying that you're aware of them and that you've read them. So it's please everybody, all residents, whether you've been here for 20 years, please go over the rules again that were delivered to you or are available to you, and they're on our website as well, to make sure that we read the specifics. I mean, it's dry reading for some people, but it's important that we do know what the rules are. Thank you for your time, everybody.
And just so everybody's aware, as we said, all of those rules won't fit on the sign, but we now have printed out all of the rules, laminated them, and all of the rules are now posted at the pool, so you can see all of the rules.
I'm Barb Nagley, and I'm in unit number 57, and I would like to address some of the discussion from the previous speaker. I have spent a lot of time at the pool. I have seen Roxy there only being polite in addressing people. To use the word that she barged up to someone, I question that highly. She's not a barger. She is polite. She addresses everything in a fair and equal manner. And as far as telling John to be honest, I think that was a little out of line. John is honest. Thank you.
Paul Franco, 645. We vote you board members.
Paul Franco, the guy who's complaining about the budget.
Hello, testing. Okay, we'll try it again. We vote you board members, and we entrust you with this village. It's actually a village. We keep calling it a park, but it's actually a village. And at a village, there needs to be cooperation, integrity. You can make 50,000 rules and regulations, but what good is it if the people are not going to follow it? It's no good. As a village, and as people that we've entrusted you with the responsibility, you took an oath, right? You all took an oath. And in that oath, it says that we entrust you with this village. And so maybe, John, the process is a little broken. I would hate to think that this lady here feels injustice. I would hate to feel that Roxy, you feel injustice. And I would hope that you wouldn't feel that way. But in order for things to be resolved, there needs to be a commitment to an outstanding village, of which 25, 30 years ago I visited because my mom and dad entered this village. And it was great. A lot of rules and regulations, yes. Some I agreed with, some I didn't. But tried to always follow them, whether there was a fine or not a fine. Why? Because of my personal integrity. And so again, maybe the process is broken. Maybe you need to think about another process in which it doesn't take weight on you guys extra, because that's what Steve was talking about. Maybe there needs to be another process, and I'll leave that to you to decide.
I'm not sure if you heard what June Killam was saying a few minutes ago. She said that every new owner, before they can sign their closing papers, must be interviewed or have an orientation by at least 2 board members. We sit in that office, and the very first sheet of paper that's called the shareholders information sheet says that you have known that there is a proprietary lease, you know there are rules and bylaws, and that you will, and at the bottom of that page, everybody signs that and says, I agree to abide by all of these. So it's sort of strange when we find people who don't, even though they have sworn that they would do that.
Hi, I'm Kathy Gordon, 631. I was also at the pool that day with Mrs. Shepherd, and we felt that she was singled out. I don't know if because you didn't know who they were, you didn't think they were owners, I don't know, but everyone goes to that pool with, well, they were, with rafts and stuff. No one, all of a sudden, it was going to be enforced that day. We just felt it was singled out. And I don't have a problem. Noodles, I don't have a problem with just noodles. But if you're going to enforce it, you have to enforce it to not just the new people like us, but to the people who've been here 20 years. It's not fair to us either. Now I have another question, which is very important to me, and it's about the pool. I'm being told by some people that the pool is heated year-round. It stays at 83 degrees. If it gets hotter, coolers come on, and it cools it down. Then I was told the other day by another woman at the pool that, no, the heater's turned off in the summer, and it doesn't get turned back on until October 1st or November 1st. So I would like that clarified. Is the pool heated, or isn't it? Because it's been cold lately, the pool. Have you think it's cool? Cold? The pool's cold.
No.
So that was my other question.
The pool is heated all year round.
Oh, yeah.
And it's typically supposed to be at 86.
No way.
Well, I'm only telling you what was supposed
Okay.
to.
Well, then maybe it has to be looked into, maybe the heater's broke.
No.
It's not 86, I can tell you that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll make sure that we check on it tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Sonny Russell, 779. Going back to some of the maintenance issue on the homeowner's responsibility, the weeds, the algae on the homes, the trees growing out of the gutters. That seems to be maybe the top three that I personally see here. Steve brought up a good point that our legal fees were very expensive to pursue those actions against the residents. But have we thought of another way, as a board thought of another way to maybe address it? Possibly some progressive discipline, so to speak, verbal warning, a letter, a registered letter, and then we, the homeowners association, we do the repair. We fix the weeds, we clean the gutter, we wash the house, and we charge them back for that service. Now, I'm not sure what the procedure is and what bylaws may have to be changed or the legalities to do something like that. But have we thought about that and have we addressed it?
I mean, unless they are, yeah.
I'm sorry, Lydia, were you speaking to us?
I would like to make a comment about the homes that appear to have them and that are growing, and suggest that you might want to think the comfort problem affects owners.
Lydia, we can't hear you. I'm sorry.
So possibly...
I'm sorry.
Lydia. Oh. Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, Lydia, we're just going to have to skip that. We just can't hear you. We have talked about it.
So possibly we incur some legal fees up front, I don't know, to make that change. But then everyone signs that, and they understand the progression. We're going to send you a letter, we're going to send you a registered letter, then we're going to clean the damn thing, and you're going to pay us. Have we done that?
No, but I'm thinking what we have to do is change our bylaws to do something like that. That's a pretty major thing. What you're talking about is sending somebody a bill and saying, we washed your house and it cost $180 and you have to pay this. Now, I'm not sure that we can do that with our bylaws. Now, I'm not saying we can't do it, but I think we'd have to change the bylaws to do that. It might be worth...
So is that something the board's willing to look into?
I do like the idea, yeah.
And it's just automatic, and there's a procedure that never fails. First step, whatever it may be, a letter. Second step, a registered letter. Third step, in a certain period of time, we clean the house and they pay us. So that's all I got.
I'd like to say something. You know, everybody's talking about like this place is falling apart. Like anything else, there's always a percentage of people who just have their own agenda. It's like anything else. If you have 100%, is it 1%? Is it 2%? Okay, it's never more than 1 or 2%. So please understand that. There's a lot of work that continues to go on in this place every day, and there's a lot of people working hard, whether it's the caretakers or whether it's the homeowner. Now, like anything else, we do our best to try to work with the owner. Sometimes they're very cooperative, and occasionally they're not. Now, even though there was a bunch of properties that were pointed out, we revisited a lot of those. And even though, I'd like to know how many properties that people are talking about. They're talking about 1 or 2, they're talking about 100, they're talking about 200.
Well,
I mean, it's everybody. I think Mr. Dunn, is Bob here? Okay. I mean, are we talking about 200 properties? Are we talking about 500 properties? I mean, it's like anything else. Let's relax, take a deep breath. And I think that, like anything else, you know, we try to speak to people first. We do our best to communicate to everybody. And we work very, very hard at that at the office. Like anything else, we don't want to take action with people about a lot of this stuff. We do our best to convince people, and we constantly follow up. So again, this constant follow-up with everything that we do. We've got everything on record, and the whole point is, like anything else, if people don't want to clean their property, you know, we do our best to convince them to do that. We've convinced a lot of people who don't have caretakers to hire a caretaker. So again, like, take a deep breath, everybody. I mean, this place is not falling apart.
Look, we as in the village, 280 some homes were cited. We published it in an email. What are the residents and shareholders going to think when they read, damn, 280 some homes were cited? That's not 1 or 2% of 751 homes. I think we need to look outside the box. We can resolve this. We can make it amicable and fair for everyone, which I don't believe it is now, because we evidently took legal action against this one person. It cost us, I don't know the story, but it cost us some money. But we took some legal action against that one person, but we're letting 400 people slide. Where is the consistency? Where is the fairness? We can implement a system, and it's not difficult to do. I don't know the legalities, but it can be done. We can implement a system that's easy to maintain and fair to everyone. Just takes a little effort.
Who you got to hire to do it?
I'm sorry?
It's people.
Who are we going to hire? Whoever's available. We got guys in here with I wash mobile home trucks all the time. We hire whoever's available.
Mary Marks, Unit 169. As a point of interest, I want to say that I'm sitting on the front row. There is a conversation going on in the back room. We can't hear what's going on by the door. We can't hear what's going on in the front row. So there should be some rules and regulations about outside conversations going on. Thank you.
Point well taken. We'll try and monitor that better in the future. And if that's happening in the future, kind of raise your hand or something so we can kind of.
Nancy Whitford, lot 72. Anthony, I have killed 11 ants by my chair and 4 bugs. Could you please see to getting a treatment done on the perimeter of this building or the interior of this building? We never had ants until tonight, and I pretty much sit in the same spot. Appreciate it. I want to address last month. I was here on September 14th. For anybody that was here, you know I was talking about wages and benefits for the employees. And astounded I was to the 14-year, 10-year, and 5-year increase in wages and benefits. I was even more astounded when I realized on September 14th, this board of directors passed a budget. It was on the screen. They showed us the numbers. They approved that budget, and we'll say 2 weeks shy of 1 day, on September 27th, they mailed that budget out to all of us. That budget did not look like the budget that was presented on the screen. So I sent an email to John Williams, and I questioned it. Just last night, I got the answer to that email. And it seems that the numbers that they used to present the budget on September 14th were not the same numbers that they used, or at least the dividing number was not the same, because the more data, in fact, 2 more additional months of data came in just 2 weeks, which is really hard for me to understand. I still say to all of you, the increase in maintenance and benefits, dolphin benefits, administration and benefits, is another huge increase for this park. And they have not had a clubhouse to clean. They've not had a pool to take care of. And in my opinion, inspections aren't happening enough here, which is what our problem is with maintenance of the homes. Because you're announcing when you're doing it, seems like it's every 2 to 3 months. It was a lot more frequent before, at least it seemed that way, and people were more on top of it. As far as follow-up, I don't see, if there's follow-up, John, I'm still waiting on a proper planter to be put in at number 71. It is illegal, it should not be there, and it's been month and a half, 2 months now? Nothing's happened. So, I've said my piece. I still don't understand this budget, and I only looked at 7 line items. I didn't even look at all the line items. I was just 7 of them. And I don't understand the explanation. But I just got it yesterday, so maybe somebody can explain it to me better. But I just don't see how you can approve a budget on the 14th and send us something totally different and say, well, more data came in, and yet the wages went up for golf, for administration, and for maintenance.
Just briefly so that everybody else can understand, the numbers from the September 14th to September 27th did change. What we were comparing to, one of the qualities you're looking at was our year-to-date projected to end of 2021 spending. And we did have then available to us 2 more months of material to try and make that as accurate as possible. So, getting a more correct number for that changed the percentages. And by the time, if we did that every month, they change a little bit every month. So they're not going to stay the same when you compare them to the projected end of the year figures. And one other thing, when we approved the budget by the board, we approved it with 2 changes, and we said then they'll go back to the committee and would change them as they had done in the past. So when we approved it with changes, then those numbers changed some. So yeah, the numbers are different, but I thought I got all the stuff to you. And quite honestly, Nancy, I'm not a financial guy, so if you still don't understand that, I would get in touch with Dennis. He's the guy that's really more of an expert on the budget. Yes, Dennis Reinhardt. But yes, the numbers have changed, and yes, there's reasons for that. They're totally understandable.
That wasn't one of the board's changes then.
So just to clarify, the dollar numbers that the board approved did not change. We still had $624,000 for payroll in the budget presented and in the budget sent out. What changed was the comparison for analytical purposes. When we put the budget together in July 1st, we use June's actuals, that's all we have. So when we go through the process, to anchor it and not have these issues, we anchor it to the month we had, which is June. It's a variance analysis issue. The dollar values did not change.
But this was a 2-week change. 2 weeks
the decision was made
September 27th.
in order to give you more valid information
But
to
why
update the
wasn't that
forecast.
information presented on September 14th?
Because we focused on the dollar values. The dollars didn't change. The dollars did not change. It's still a 2.707 spend. The dollars did not change by line or by category.
The wages went, I don't have the numbers with me, and the wages went way up from the night of September 14th to September 27th. They went all the way up to 26%.
That's because
Do you have the number that was there on September 14th?
I didn't bring it, but I can tell you. But I can tell you, it was in the June number.
It more than doubled.
Of course, it went up because we took dollars out of June's budget that weren't approved.
Then why wasn't that presented to the board on September 14th? That's what I'm saying. In 2 weeks, the numbers changed dramatically. 2 weeks. I'm talking from September 14th to September 27th.
Let's be clear.
That's what I want to know. Why was it not presented to the board what was approved? Why was that not approved by the board what we were going to receive in the mail? That's the answer I'm looking for. 2 weeks, not 2 months more data.
But you keep saying the numbers in the budget changed. The budget as presented did not change.
Okay. Well, I'll review it further. Like I said, I just got back from Boca Raton. I've been gone for 5 days. I will look at it more thoroughly this week. But
Look at the dollar,
what
look
John
at the dollar
sent me-
values. Don't get hung up in variance analysis. You got to look at the dollar values.
What he sent me to the explanation that was sent to me was that you acquired 2 months more of data. You acquired in 2
No.
weeks. You got 2 months
didn't
more of
acquire.
data. That's the way I understood what he sent.
But I just want to make sure everybody understands the dollar budget presented did not change.
Gary Utz, Lot 167. I'm the chairman on the art committee. I wanted to answer her question on Lot 71. The lady, we gave her permission to put the block down, but she put the wrong block in the planter box. So we told her that she's going to change it. But right now, the decorative blocks, nobody has them. The landscaper tried. We called Hudson up at Hudson. Carroll's don't have them. Nobody has them in the park that we can get them. So she's understanding that as soon as those blocks are, the contractor can get them, she's going to have them replaced, take those off and replace them. Right now, we told her to leave them there so the stone doesn't roll all out into her grass. So she's cooperating with us. So just to let you know. Okay, you're welcome.
Hi, Mary Blackman, number 420. I wrote a letter to the managers about a month ago, I think, about the sidewalks. I got a prompt reply the very next day that the sidewalks, the missing sidewalks were going to be replaced, and that the sidewalks which have the black mold on them, which are very, very slippery every time it rains, that they were going to be cleaned, and that this process was going to begin in about 3 weeks. I haven't seen anything happen. Since the first week in May, when the sidewalk was removed over in front of, I think, 414, it's been missing. I've been walking on the grass because the street is always full of trucks because the house across the street was replaced and the missing sidewalk never got replaced excuse me, after the water lines were worked, or sewer lines, whatever it was, were worked on. I fell twice last year, that last year and this year, once in November and once in January, and was injured, cracking ribs each time. One time I hit my head hard enough to have a mild concussion on uneven sidewalks. I'd like to see those ground down or at least marked with yellow paint like they do wherever there's a step so that you don't trip over the sidewalk. I did send a letter. So after listening tonight, I guess the next time I have to send a registered letter. And then after that, I have to try to get a lawyer and try to fine? Well, come on, no. I would like to see our sidewalks made much safer for the people who try to walk on them. Can I expect that to happen pretty soon?
Okay, we started washing the sidewalks from the beginning of the park. So that's in place. We finally got a concrete contractor, who will be here on Thursday. We've tried for months to try to get a concrete contractor. We finally got one, and they should be starting work on Thursday.
Okay, the very worst sidewalks that I have seen are the ones over on Eagle North. They are really, really, really bad, where the water flows out of the grass and continues to flow for days after it rains. They look and feel like they have oil on them. I think you should fix those before someone else slips on them. I've slipped twice.
I think I'll resign.
Excuse, Mrs. Blackman? Yeah.
We have your letter, and we'll take care of it. I also sent out an email. Did you get our email blast?
I'm sorry, I have not checked my email this week.
I'm sorry?
I've been at the ball games and I've been crying.
Mrs. Blackman, do you get our email blast from the office?
I haven't.
Okay, are you on our list?
Mary Marks, Unit 169, and I just want to make a correction. Gary referred to 171 with the planter. That's my rental unit, and I don't have any problems. Okay. Thanks.
Looking like there's no more people that would like to speak. Thank you all for your patience and for being here tonight. Appreciate it.